We can have a little bit of quiet now. There's obviously some massive interest in this room that we're unaware of. So I'm going to run through the things I think it might be. Tell me what it is. I will bump it in front of the agenda. So are we talking Stratton, Mountain Woods?
Yes.
Yes. Seapool?
I'm just here to clarify.
I know why you're here. You're the one person I didn't need to raise it. And power exchange. Right, so we're Mountain Woods. Okay. Normally we would start with public participation as soon as we know what it is. So excluding Mountain Woods, we will talk. I will let the public participate on that agenda item. Is there anybody that has anything to talk about other than that? Chris and Darky. Go on, who wants to go first?
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, as you know, the Bude-Stratton and Harbour Society opens the board workshop for you.
Yeah.
So this is just a little report about a few things. I'll read this out. The Bude-Stratton and Harbour Society have opened the board's workshop this year from the 2nd of July to the 24th of September in the hours of 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. each day. This year there were 125 visitors compared with the 192 visitors in 2022, a drop of 67. Also, it was closed on Heritage Day, which has never happened except for the COVID period. The probable cause of the 20% drop in visitors is due to the possible 20% drop of visitors to the southwest. There have been 4 Sundays when only 1 volunteer was present, which is less than the agreement with the town council. And I've discussed this with my fellow trustees and urged them that we need to do better next year because there's only one of us. We have to adopt a low working policy, which, as you would understand. And I've had a conversation with the facility manager, and he has assured me that he will endeavour to make provision for the lack of disabled access. And also, you know, there's a well, that's if you've been, Mr. Mayor. There is a display, a cabin model of the lower basin of the canal, which needs better lighting so that people can see it. That's all I think.
Okay. I have been up there. It's the little workshop up at Hillbridge.
It is indeed.
Mountain.
Yeah, I think the
On
only
the
thing.
border.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Well, I think it might be in Marinchurch Parish, but you own the land.
Okay. We crossed the border. Right, thanks, Chris. Darky.
Michael, last summer,
Yeah.
outside the library, there was Time and all our gang waving their flags and
Right.
cheering. Why? I know
Be polite. I
you're
won't.
allowed to say queer because it's in the Bude-Stratton Post last week. They printed it.
You're not allowed to say it then.
Right,
That's beside the point.
Yeah, it's contextual, Darky. All right. Just
That's what's funny.
keep it.
3 weeks back now, there was a thing for the Bude War on a Sunday. There was a remembrance service for those who had died. 1 councillor turned up, so were the rest of them. They all turned out for the queers, but all they couldn't turn out, show a bit of respect for the war dead and everything else. There's 1 councillor I saw. Where was all the rest of them? Could be asked to turn up.
I can't honestly answer to the rest of them, Darky.
What looks good on the council, doesn't it? Everybody on the council, everybody in the country. Absolutely disgrace.
Okay. Is that your point or
That's
that's
first
it?
one.
Okay. Oh, we've got one. There's a few people would like to respond, so. John?
Well, this was a public participation matter, Robert, in response to Mr.
Okay, does anybody want to respond to Darky?
I would just say that I tell you where I was. I was a volunteer at Mount Judge Community Shop.
Your excuse.
Every Sunday. So
Don't start the reason. But there should have been more than 1 turn up.
There was.
Yeah, I was going to say I was there and I saw a couple of others there, Darky,
On
so,
Sunday, I saw you, I didn't see anybody else.
I'm sure there were, but I don't want to name them.
yeah. Okay. Your second point?
What's happening with the buses, Peter? They're changing it all again everywhere.
Right, so to respond to that, somebody has approached me with a complaint that they feel that the buses have changed. I wrote to our transport manager in Gorman Council and assured me that there were no changes at all.
Well, you try getting from Bude to Newquay, then you only get to Weybridge. The last bus leaving Bude gets his Weybridge and that's it.
I will look into the Bude to Newquay service.
Yeah, the other point being, to get back, I've got it here, I've got there's a bus that leaves Newquay just after 6, what is it, 6:05 or something, goes to Weybridge. There's a bus that leaves the Newquay area, whatever they call it, at the same time, comes all the way to Bude. You got the bus leaving Newquay, never catches up with the one that's coming to Bude. It was never like that. They have changed it since the last month.
I don't know.
I don't think,
I'll have to
I'm
ask.
just
I'll have to
wondering
ask.
why they keep changing everything.
Okay. So, you're happy to look into that, Peter? Okay, Peter, you'll look into that,
Sorry, could I ask something?
you good?
Yes. I just wondered whether, when you took over from the previous council, did you have to carry out any decisions that were made by them but weren't actually carried out by them? Just the time came.
Well, we're still dealing with the storm tower, which is the previous council's decision. So that's one
Yeah, no.
example of something we're carrying out.
No, it was, we passed various things and they never, dare I say, the clerk never did them. So I just wondered if it was, whether you had to because they'd been passed, and if you hadn't, was nothing to do.
He would have been on the radio.
Oh, good, yeah,
No,
they
well,
came up on
well, just give the answer.
so, yeah.
That's right.
Okay, any other non-woods related?
I'm sorry, there was one more. I wanted to ask a lot, but there's only one more. I believe you've got, is Pearl actually on the agenda?
I think we have
Item 10.
The only reason I'm asking is because when they took it over from, they promised that there would only be one horse box out there. Well, there seems to be two all the year round now, and I didn't know, how they got away with that in a sense. I'm happy for one to be there, but two seems, I don't know. No, nobody here to answer, right?
Did we not? One's like a little cafe for them, and the other is for running the kitchen pot out of.
Hmm.
So I think when we redid their lease, so to speak, we granted permission for a second so that they could operate the
Right,
kitchen
well,
pot. out of.
that's all I want to know, if you granted.
We did.
Yeah, yeah.
Tom, you're a member of the public, go for it.
Yeah, just as a matter of information, and I'm sure very many of you probably know this already in here, but the decision to grant planning permission for a control at Witnett Bay or Witnett has been quashed at judicial review.
Okay.
Just, can I just make one point, a couple of points about it, because it came up. The report, the judgment runs to 92 pages, and which makes it very interesting reading. But one point that came up was here was in relation to commercial viability and whether that was material or not. There is no doubt from the report, the judgment, that the commercial viability is definitely a material consideration.
Okay. Thank you, Tom. Right, anybody else in the public with anything other than the woods to talk about? No, right, then we will rattle on and I will bump item 17, which is the Gully Woods. I will put that in after item 5 for minutes. Get the admin done and put it in between 5 and 6. Yeah? Cool. Right, receive apologies and accept the reasons for any non-attendance.
We've got Councillor Hayne for work reasons, Councillor Purchase for personal reasons, Councillor Diffie for personal reasons, Councillor Hannah who has illness, Councillor Blewett for work reasons and Councillor Quinton for personal reasons. Councillor Deering has given her apologies for being late, but it intends to attend. And we also have apologies from Cornwall Councillor Tilby and Chota.
Thank you. To receive any declarations of interest on items on the agenda and note any dispensations granted.
None, of course.
None. To receive a brief presentation from the Power Exchange. This is a very brief presentation. Okay then. To note any reports from Cornwall councillors.
You want me to do it?
Yes, well, you're the only one here.
Right. Indeed, thank you very much indeed, Mr. Mayor. You might remember at the last full council meeting, me mentioning the Cornwall Council were holding a sustainable tourism inquiry. That is now underway. I attended the first meeting last week and I probably still chairing it. And so I'll be shouting for views corner in that inquiry. Economic Growth and Development Committee, which was held earlier this week, we had an early look at the budget which the council is proposing for next year, which in turn means your council tax charges are likely to go up by 4.99%, which is the maximum the Cornwall Council could charge. On 24th of September, I attended Bude Climate Partnership Climate Jury as an observer in my role as Cornwall Councillor. It's very interesting to see the progress they're making, very interesting to see the engagement from the members of the public, and very interesting to listen to the people presenting there. So that was a fascinating session for me. On the 19th of September, there's a full Cornwall Council, which is effectively bound up in procedural rules decisions, the commencement of a new iteration of the Harvest Board, and looking in depth at the capital programme. So fascinating stuff. There's lots of yawning in the chamber. But anyway, not to say it wasn't taken seriously. On the 9th of September, I visited residents at Casebourne Mews, where the gardens are being sadly let down by Cornwall Council. I'm going to try to get a group together there, which will work with Cornwall Council to really have a good go at the gardens in that area and then have them maintained on a regular basis. I haven't been able to feed that back to those residents yet, but I'm sure they'll be pleased to know it looks like there's promising action on its way. Donkey Lane and Brummel Lane in Bude are both failing really badly, and I'm trying to work on Cornwall Council to get some work done on those areas. You also might remember me mentioning that I was a little disappointed that no significant funding bids are coming from the Bude area for the community levelling up funds, and I'm pleased to say there are 2 bids now in. One is to replace the lights on the AstroTurf at Bude Haven, which is used by a huge amount of our youth on a very regular basis. For in the region of £40,000, which is, I've already been told, has been looked upon favourably. The second one is actually from this council itself for our youth project, which some of you might mention, which is a more ambitious project in the region of £200,000, which is again, I'm told, in the early phases has been looked upon very favourably. So I'm very pleased that we have got some money looking like it's going to be coming in towards Bude. Traffic consultations around the Crooklets Triangle area, and also somebody's present, you might remember me mentioning, those consultations are now completed. The schemes will go ahead largely as planned, and they're awaiting sealing, but there will be works happening very soon. The biggest difference you'll notice is the cut through on the golf course from Crooklets up to Old Sainsbury's is going to become one way with a pedestrian footway put in there. And the final thing to note is that after meetings with the Methodist Church and lobbying from myself, the Environment Agency appeared to be weakening and allowing an animals bridge to be opened partially at times between now and Christmas. So hopefully these 2 parts of our community are going to be taken seriously by the Environment Agency and recognise they are actually more important than perhaps they gave us credit for.
It's open from now until the end of the term.
Yes. Happy to take any questions, Bude Cornwall Councillor.
I've got one regarding the Animals Bridge. Could we make inquiries to have it open for Remembrance Sunday? Right, because it's heavily used by,
Good point.
you know, the pedestrians that aren't in the parade, so to speak.
Yeah.
Is there anything else?
Further to your comment, perhaps to include the half-term holiday break.
That, yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I'll take that.
What about weekends? Because they're not working on weekends. Why not just have it all?
And weekends.
Okay, we'll take all of those amendments.
Just,
Yeah. Any other questions for councillor Roy?
Peter, just a couple of things you said. 40,000 for lighting on the AstroTurf. Is that anything to do with the white building? There's been some fuss about poor lighting in this week. Up at school.
I'm not sure. You know where the AstroTurf is, but it's opposite, where the car park is on Stratton Road.
Yeah.
It's got floodlighting onto the AstroTurf.
Okay, I suspect we're talking about two.
Yeah, they're currently the old-fashioned lights. I think they're partially failed, and the bid is effectively to install LED lighting, which is much more cost efficient and much brighter.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then the other thing is, you spoke about that one way across the.
Yeah, they cut through the golf course.
Right. You mentioned the footpath. Are they going to put in a proper footpath, or is it one of these virtual footpaths?
I'm afraid it will be a painted footpath, so a virtual footpath.
Yeah, the only reason I ask is, I'm pretty familiar with that area. I've seen the parking that's been happening there towards the end of the summer.
Yeah.
And somebody's parked, somebody's driving. There's no room for virtual footpath.
But it'll be one way, so and it'll be double yellowed as well.
Right, so we will be no parking.
No parking at all on that bit.
The other thing to add to that is that depending on budget, what they said to me was the bit at the top, trying to connect up to the footsteps, just link up, because otherwise you're going to be awkwardly crossing the road, and that might be an actual solid path, as it were, rather than grass or painted in paint. But that depends on budget. So it's fine.
Okay.
Can I ask, is the one way going down towards, or is it coming up?
It's coming up.
That bend is dodgy with the cars parking, because
No direction was perfect, but we felt on balance, looking at traffic flows, that was the better way.
right, okay, the dog could need to be approached because that bend is blind, because the car, if the car is parking, they can park outside the old tennis courts there. So the car is on the other side of the road. So when you come up, you're blind, you can't see the car, if you understand what I mean.
Big one. So all of that triangle,
Yes.
is going to be double yellowed.
Right.
Apart from there are going to be two short zones where you can park 4 cars in total outside the Queen's pub on that bit.
Okay, that's.
So it's going to be double yellowed all outside the car park.
Right.
Does that?
Okay, I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Yes, right. Minutes, full council to approve the minutes of the previous meeting held 7th of September 2023. I propose we do that. All in favour? Against? Abstain? Committee, to receive and note the minutes of the committee meetings listed below. Planning Committee 13th and 27th of September 23.
Can I just raise an issue, or minor issue really? I see on the minutes of the C&D Services Committee, the non-members of the committee present are recorded. That's but non-members of the planning committee are not recorded in the minutes of that committee.
We will make sure that we normalise our arrangements obviously with new committees and the structure isn't actually uniform across all the committees, and obviously the planning committee was another one, so we'll make sure that that is.
I'm just miffed at my presence.
Right, did we have a proposal there? Yeah. Okay, all in favour? Against? Abstain? Corporate and Democratic Services, 21st of September 2023. I propose to do that. All in favour? Against? Abstain? Facilities and Environmental Services, 21st of September 23. All in favour? Against? Abstained? Minutes to consider and agree that least the EV charge at Parkhouse Centre resolved to recommend full council that BSTC do not agree to change from a licence to a lease. Do we want to defer this in lieu of that meeting? So I'm going to propose that we, yeah, the company involved now requested a meeting, so I propose you defer that. Second it, okay, all in favour? Against? Abstained?
I can't see. Mr. Chairman, if the council voted to not do it, why not just move on with it?
Well, there we are.
Just some complaining involved.
Right, I'm going to move item 17 forwards now, so it's to consider options to purchase Hill Valley Woodland. I believe this is you bringing it forward, Tom, so
Well, it
tell us
was,
what you know, because we know nothing.
it was to open a discussion really. Obviously, purchase would be one of the possibilities, but there's several members of the public here, so.
We brought half the barn church, which is in there. Where are we? Okay, well, would anybody in the public like to say anything, and then
Just one thing, being a view person, could you explain exactly where that is
Have you got a?
on the screen?
it's the woodlands at the end of Hill Bridge there, you know, the Grills' land,
Oh, right.
the little walk through from
Yeah,
Hill Bridge
okay.
across the Finch Hill.
All right.
I think it would be a mistake to just think of it as a marriage church attraction.
No.
It's very, very popular with in the whole area.
Yeah, I was just describing where it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Even exotic places like Week St Mary. They come pouring in their cars, park in the car park there and walk around the Hill Valley Trail. And it would be a very detrimental to the community, I think, if it became a development area and we were excluded from walking in that area.
Just out of interest, you've spoken to Marham Church Council about this, and
It will be on the agenda for the next meeting.
it's on the agenda. Okay, cool. Maybe make contact and follow that. I don't know your name, so I'm just going to have to point and go.
That's fine, thank you. Just for clarification, the whole of the land is not in Marham Church Parish. So Marham Church Parish Council will discuss it. We are a very small parish council with not a lot of resources. Now, the Hill Valley Trail, I had no idea, because I used to live at Walesford Farm, how difficult it is to find somewhere to exercise both yourself and your dog safely, where you can get out of a car in a car park, which is not on a road. And I feel passionately that it is those 25 acres, the woodland there has grown up and matured. It's an absolute haven for wildlife. You see woodpeckers every spring. We've got rare coloured primroses. The river itself is an absolute joy. Where else can you walk along a natural river with dappled sunlight coming through the trees? It's totally accessible. It's well used to the point where it's the go-to place. Since Walesborough has become less accessible, Neath Valley Trail, if we were to lose that, it would be an absolute tragedy. And I think we all these days have a lot of awareness about mental health. We need to have these places which are available to everybody to go and enjoy and get in touch with nature. And I really think it would be a tragedy, having seen so much work go into creating it, for it to just be lost.
Yeah. want to respond?
I just want to point of clarification, it is in fact tied into the grant scheme for the next 10 years, so nothing adverse can happen for the next 10 years. Other than the two fields up the left-hand side of the car park field, that they are not part of the scheme, just Cops at the end is over the river to the woodland itself, that is all
So
counted.
everything north of the river is protected for 10 years, the two fields south of it are not.
Can't the footpath be closed though, Tom? The woods have to be protected.
Yeah, you're quite right, the right of way is not
Yeah.
cast in stone.
So that could be closed.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, I think
But
that,
it'll be on their clawback, the community grant established the woodland, but they could easily close that path. If you look on the gate, there's a big sign there that says this right of way is through the woodland, the right of way is permissible path only, which is the landowner can be closed at any time. The only footpath that is cast in stone is the one that goes up to Hill Farm from Foundry Lane. Sorry.
hello, yes. Sorry, we've lived there 43 years in that woodland. We live at Hill Mill. So we've seen that grow up around us and it's been fabulous. The difference in the wildlife is enormous. And we've got little owls, tawny owls, they're outside my bedroom window. It's great. The woodpeckers, the otter we hear in there. I mean, foxcut, everything. And it's made a massive difference to that valley. And we've seen it used by so many people. And it's just glorious, really. And if we lost, I think if everybody lost that, it would be such a shame.
I'll go there and then Dan, go for it. I actually know your name. Dan, go for it.
I'll speak something with personal source both. I know the Scout community uses that woodland a lot, and I feel that there's probably more educational resource in there that could be used if it was required.
Yeah, I was just thinking about my formative years, should we speak, and a lot of fun mess around that bit with Kev O'Reilly and those guys back in the day.
I was going to say exactly the same thing. The Beavers and Cubs leader just asked me to say that because she's running things at the moment.
Yeah, I know it's an area they use regularly and have done for a long time. Anybody else in the public got anything to say? And then I'm going to bring it in the table. No? Okay. Anybody got?
We have also, can I say, we've also, we help look after it a bit as well, as sort of because of living there.
Yeah.
We do try to cut things back and to clear rubbish and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, we have done community rubbish picks in that area as well as part of it. So I think and lots of members of the community turned out for those events. So I think it's really clear how important it is to so many people.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. I think it was Katie first and then Simon.
Yeah, I mean, as a Beaver and Scout leader myself, I've often taken Beavers and Scouts over there. I know that they use it a lot. I know it's a lovely piece of land, and I think it's important to a lot of people for a lot of different reasons. However, I'm gonna be the grouchy one and talk about money. And I just, yes, it's beautiful. It is protected. It's protected by the Farm Woodland Premium Scheme for another 10 years. So it would have to be protected. And I feel that there are much more important things. If we have the budget for something like this, then there are many more things we should have been using that money towards and not putting to one side. That's my opinion. I think there's far more important things in view right now than, spending that much money on this piece of land.
I mean, I'm not the council's financial expert by any means, but I think we spent a vast amount of our spare cash on Lord's Court a couple of months ago.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. There's no doubt it would be a fantastic asset. I mean, it is a fantastic asset to the community. Agree that I don't think we have the cash just to splash on that right now.
one of the things I was wondering about looking into is having it declared as asset of community value. This buys us time then.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be done before a piece of land is put up for sale. So had we done this years ago, it'd be wonderful, because then when it's put up for sale, we get 6 weeks moratorium for the community to decide whether it makes a bid. And if we decide we do want to make a bid, we get another 6 months then to raise the cash to do so. I don't know if that applies once it's already on sale, on the market, but I'd be really keen to look into that and see if that would apply. Because we know that the community can raise money. There may be funding pots that would be useful for that kind of thing. And that at least would buy us the time to look into it properly.
Yeah. So we're probably, if we're going to do that, we're going to need to stick it into a committee. Probably corporate and democratic, I would think, to start with. Yeah. And liaise with Marham Church. I mean, but effectively, Tom, you got the Marham Church council meetings, don't you?
Well, I'm actually a councillor. I think Kevin, I want to come back to Simon's point, but Kevin was.
Yeah, okay, Kevin.
Well, I was going to make a similar point. And I think as a body corporate, we can express support for this asset of the community and facilitate securing the future of this without actually spending, without literally buying. There are other ways that we can show support, and I think that we should be doing that. We should be investigating ways to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go to the comment.
Yeah, I have thought about the asset community value thing. Actually, it would make no difference whatsoever. It would possibly put a 6 months moratorium on the sale, but then it's a long-term project to offload it. Yeah, 6 months isn't going to be enough to, it isn't going to make any difference. As regards it wouldn't make an awful lot of difference to preserving it as for the community. Having it listed as an asset community value doesn't make very much difference at all.
As far as I'm saying, it gives us the right to bid. It's not saying else.
But you've got the right to bid in here.
But it gives us time, 6 months. We could be talking crowdfunders, we can explore funding options. So that's the difference, I think.
That's fine, but I just think don't build your hopes up too high, because I've been involved in let's say cases where the asset community value listing has been used and it's just made no difference. They just wait. The vendor just waits, and this vendor is not in a hurry. It's not going for auction. It's the
grill, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you obviously put it on the agenda. Did you have a proposal in mind when you did it?
No, it was just to throw it out for talk, to think about it really, rather than come up with a proposal tonight that it'll be tough. But I think there's other, there's allotments going to be considered to accommodate allotments. So it wouldn't just be to kind of have it there doing nothing. Dare I say, it is a site that could possibly accommodate natural burial ground, because Poplar Cemetery is running out of space.
It's on a floodplain.
It looks well.
It's an interesting stuff coming down from the
Obviously, all that would have to be looked at.
You have to see.
Sorry, that gentleman there wants to say something.
Yes, John Hills. Are you aware that the commercial proposal is in 2 lots? One for the trail and the other for the 3 fields on the other side. I think we're interested in the trail more than the other fields, which are not used by the public at all. They're currently used as they have been used as farmland. So
just the end one.
It's just the end one, but it's really this the trail part that I think we're passionate about preserving its current state.
Okay.
And one other point, is anybody aware of any commercial interest being expressed at this? I know it's only been, the sign has only been up there a week or so, but I just wondered if anybody knew.
I just wanted to say that I absolutely would support any way of making, you know, other ways of being able to, you know, keep this as public. I didn't want my comments earlier to be thought that I didn't agree with it. I think it's a really important piece of land. I just think we should explore other options and not just outright go, yeah, okay, we'll pay for it. But I would happily support anything else.
I think the option of us actually just outright buying it is.
Yeah.
Wasn't done. Wasn't the proposal.
We haven't got that money, probably haven't got the resources to manage it, even if we can afford it.
I've spoken to several people who are really willing to put money in themselves. I think time to explore, perhaps we could apply to a levelling up fund, I don't know. But it would be lovely if we knew we had the support of this council in exploring community funding of some sort. And I think with a lot of things, if you stand at the bottom of a very steep hill, it's totally daunting. But if we knew the council would in some small way, I'd proportionally match whatever funding was raised from the community, it would be a really positive thing. And it would give us, you know, the motivation and the direction to really have a go at this.
Can I just
We need time.
raise a note of caution about the capacity of staff to be able to undertake a significant amount of work in helping to fundraise when there is already a considerably packed programme of things taking place.
Well, that's
What I wouldn't want the council to do is find itself in a position where it's offered help that staff weren't able to provide.
Yeah.
I was there today actually. I went there with my son, and I know the place well. It is a really, really special place. I take Katie's point about there being other really critical projects in our community that could do with our support. But this is one thing which I feel like as a council we should try our best to, in whatever way we can, whether it's capacity of staff or funding or whatever it might be, try our hardest to retain this for the wider community in perpetuity. Because if this disappears, that would be a real grave loss. It's a really awesome place, and yeah, saw a great spotted woodpecker there and some longcrests this afternoon, and it's packed full of wildlife. It's not just like special, it's really, it's incredible.
I've been using it my whole life. I've played with it. Obviously, we're going to need to propose and second vote, but my inclination is to bump it into corporate and democratic, offer support in principle. One thing I'm thinking is Bude Climate Partnership could come on board, because sea level rise and flooding and stopping stormwater coming down and meeting the tide coming in. You know, when Bude flooded back in 94, Kevin, remind me, it was 93, one of the bad stuff. You know, a lot of the problem was the water coming down. It, you know, I had nowhere to go, and it burst up over there. So, you know, there is a possibility that Bude Climate Partnership might come in on this. I don't know, but my inclination is we can't give a definitive answer one way or the other tonight without more information available. So,
what are you proposing the community does?
I haven't got to propose yet. I'll go to Katie.
I was gonna say, it would be also be good to have like a new councillor on this to ensure that they've got like one-to-one contact with someone, like who amongst us or something would be able to ensure that they've got that.
So yeah, you know, probably why it needs to head into a committee so we can thrash all of that out first. But obviously I can't just, you know, actually decide that for you. So
Can I ask, perhaps for the chairman, someone might be able to answer this, the objective is to preserve the woodland and then obviously public access to it. But I'm not aware of any TPO, tree preservation orders that are on any of those trees, but if there was like a blanket on the whole lot, would that not preserve it? Whoever owned it would have to be preserved it. You know, that would depreciate its value because someone wouldn't want to acquire it because there's a TPO on the whole woodland. So what use is it? So that should anyway. So that might be, you know, something that our council might want to explore.
But it's pretty much useless for anything else to get to it.
Well, it's like what I mean.
Yeah.
So why would the council?
There has been comments about development and
I could see somebody wanting the fields to develop that.
Yeah.
I can't imagine you're going to get too much joy from the planning department.
The flooding would still be a problem.
Exactly. That's what I mean.
I propose that we take this and leave it to the
Corporate Democratic.
yes committee.
I'll second that.
Just before we do, there's clearly a lot of community interest in this topic. A community group can apply for a asset to be listed as community value, asset community value as well. I think there are only 21 members in the group. I see members of Few Friends of the Earth here, and there's probably 21 of you in the room. So, I mean, you know, we'd be very happy to support that, I expect, if and when it came to vote. I don't know when the next Corporate and Democratic Services Committee is, but if in the meantime, you know, you guys were to share details and get together as a group, that would be immensely helpful.
Yeah, the next Corporate and Democratic Committee on the 26th, so a couple of weeks. All right, well, we've got a proposal on a second.
Can I just clarify what was the proposal?
To move this to Corporate and Democratic preferred.
When you say move, do you mean delegate or refer?
Does it matter, Tom?
It does. Delegation means the.
All right.
I don't believe that you can do any spending in like explicit.
So basically, it's, you know,
It goes to offer a supporting principle and refer it Corporate and Democratic for further investigation.
to come back with a recommendation to the full council.
Yes.
That's, thank you.
Okay, all in favour? Well, preservation of the woodland.
So I'm just wondering, right, make sure it's right.
Sorry, yeah. Been a long day, Tracy. Where did we get to? All in favour, sorry, show again. Yeah, so that should be unanimous, I think.
Can I ask you, is that preservation of the woodland or preservation of the access?
Yes, thank you. I was going to ask that too.
Because everywhere there's gates going up.
Yeah.
Like you can live in the most beautiful area in the world.
Yeah.
Have nowhere to walk.
Yes.
I want to take my little boy out. There's nowhere. The wells broke. Gates are going up.
Yeah.
The irony is it's ridiculous. So
I'm not, the gates there, so you open it, don't you? I'm not.
I don't mean gates. I mean barriers going.
Oh, right, sorry.
It's the preservation of the woodland. What we're saying is it's not just that, it's the public access that's really.
Yeah, well, yeah, I loosely termed preservation of the woodland, whatever this was when it came on. Yeah, and access. So, yeah, the agenda items, yeah.
Everything's there to be discussed.
Yeah, exactly, for further investigation. Okay. So that item is closed. You are all welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting. I'm not telling you to leave.
Another meeting to go to.
Yeah. If you want to speak out, this is time. You're very welcome.
No, no, I just thought my thoughts up.
Yeah. Right. Okay, we'll carry on now. Everybody wants to leave out, right? Jackie, right now, please receive a verbal report from staffing committee.
Yes, so let's do the agenda item. It's important, there is some kind of feedback from staff and committee board members. Obviously, a lot of those conversations are confidential nature, but nonetheless, it's important that you're updated in terms of matters like recruitment and so on. Normally, it would be a member who would be reporting back to you, but unfortunately, both the chairman and the vice chairman, or chairman wasn't at that meeting, the vice chairman wasn't at this meeting. So it was a small meeting, basically last week or so. Usual starting issues discussed, appraisals are in full swing. So my team appraising the managers, and they in turn will be appraising their own teams. We've had significant problems with our IT recently, we're reporting that to the staffing committee, and had a lot of downtime in terms of the internet and so on, so that's had quite an impact on us, it caused a lot of frustration, so we've been liaising and trying to look at that. So not to go into that in a lot of detail right now, but it has been problematic. In terms of recruiting key staffing members, we have recruited a legal and policy officer who's going to be starting in the middle of this month, which would be really helpful because we've got a lot of legal issues that we're dealing with, and hopefully should be able to help with that. And then we've tried to recruit a project officer, but we've been unsuccessful. So we did do a couple of interviews, but weren't able to actually find somebody who was suitable. So the staffing committee agreed that we would re-advertise for that position, and we're in the process of doing that. That's all.
Thank you very much.
Is it possible for you to give me a bit of an overview of the tech issues on email? Yeah. And the other thing would be the building, the house, which staffing changed things, who's in the house, basically. Did that be going to the facilities committee to discuss the house?
It will be at some point. So
Yeah.
that is vacant at the moment, but yeah, that's a chance for you.
Yes, yes.
And there's some work to do on the property, so yeah, it will come to your attention in due course.
Okay. Received the mayor's report for August and September. I have some minutes. I visited Oakhampton a couple of weeks ago. The civic parade over there, the request or the invitation of the mayor of Oakhampton. It was a very nice day, actually. Met a lot of people. He invited effectively everybody sort of farm to walk across the Exeter and round. We met some very enthusiastic people from Connect View that ran the project, getting the train to Oakhampton. They've done surveys with drones and a lot of good stuff, and sort of laid out, sort of reworked the tracks, so to speak, as some farmers have built some things, over things and whatnot. And I mean, they just effectively, updated me on what they're thinking. It's a very long way off it before. They're hoping to push it through the hosiery, which I think would be really cool if they could. I'd be quite happy with that. And then I spoke to the mayor of Hoseley at the time. Tom mentioned it last month about the cycle track from Hoseley being viewed. That is, I don't want to say gathering pace because it's moving. Probably still in first gear. They broke it down into chunks now, and little groups are going to investigate all the land issues in each chunk. I think it's like a mile or a mile and a half segment a piece, and all of that lot. So They do seem to be making headway with it, or the intention to make headway with it, maybe would be a better way of putting it, so that was quite nice, and all in all, just a nice day to get out and chat to other councillors in a slightly less formal environment, and say a couple of the new ones, are you having as much difficulties as I am adjusting? That's that. Myself and Peter last week spent an hour or two judging the artwork projects from the local school children with the Trump's Point project. I thoroughly enjoyed the session. There were some really cool takes, a couple of quite dark and sinister takes on it as well, but that's children. And we are dishing out the prizes Tuesday, I think it is. So, really looking forward to that. You will come with me. Yes, yeah, fantastic. The only other thing is, you probably had the email today, the benches for the triangle are ready. They will be getting installed next week. And I will be going along to officially open them. Thank my backside on one of them. Smile for the cameras. Thus ends the mayor's report. Sorry, no. I'd also like to correct a comment I made at the last meeting regarding the town team, when I implied that the information we had originally received was no longer being honoured. This was not accurate, and I have since spoken to members of the town team and cleared up the misunderstanding. I look forward to working with the town team on exciting community projects for the benefit of the community. Now we end the mayor's report. Nearly missed out the report. Where are we? Note the request from Friends of View Seapool for BSTC to take over ownership of View Seapool.
Well, I'm just here to, if you want to use me while I'm sitting here.
How much are you worth?
Well, no, there's no funding involved.
No.
The sequel itself is going from strength to strength. Behind the scenes, the numbers are increasing all the time, and the funding is not a problem. The old council was concerned that it would be a problem because of funding.
Yeah.
What would happen if the Friends of View Seapool disappeared? Who would pick up the pieces? Well, the answer is the town council should pick up the pieces anyway, but there is no chance of that. There's always a chance, But the Friends of View Seapool is very strong and financially very stable. There's no problem there. And the point is, the county were going to knock it down. That was their solution in dealing with that seapool, and that should never be on the table. If everything went wrong and it was left to the town council, it's for the town to decide whether the seapool is kept open, not some official down in county, which was happening before. You see, that's the bottom line. It should be the town who has control of the asset. That's all. Okay. That's all. We're just moving the asset from county to the town council.
The ask is, we asked Cornwall Council to devolve it to us.
They keep on about devolving. The answer is yes.
Still have responsibility for funding, maintenance.
Total. County give us nothing.
No financial implications.
No financial. All the county, as you know, the county look after the cliffs.
Yeah.
So the cliff part is counties. So they came along and put some meshing on there,
Yeah.
But that's their prerogative.
Yeah. So obviously you've got amazing supporters. I was wondering what, in terms of legwork, in terms of legal support, that we could also have, because as you know, staffing is very tight, especially at the moment. So what sort of, is there any sort of extra support or?
Well, that I don't know. It's how they devolve things. I have no idea what process they go. Peter might have a good.
No, it's not about from your side, as in sponsors that any sort of. I don't know if you've got sponsors from any of the solicitors in town, for example.
Oh, we could get free legal.
Yeah, that's what basically
Yes,
I'm trying to
that's
work
not
out.
a
It's
problem.
how do we lessen the legal load for us right this very second, but then still conceptually basically have support effectively to do a bit of legwork.
I don't expect any financial input on the town council. If we have to pay for legal, the Friends of View Seapool will pay for the legal side. So there's really, at this moment in time, there's no financial implication for the town council. That's what I want.
With the accounts first, to get it signed up.
Yeah.
Obviously, as somebody who's lived and viewed all his life and learned to swim in that pool and sees that pool almost every day, I would dearly love for it to be owned as an asset by the community, and this council seems to be a good way of achieving that. However, there's always an however. I was involved in the administration of that pool in the old North Cornwall District Council, and it was basically a don't ask, don't tell, don't look at it, don't touch it, because the great fear was if you did start lifting the lid, you would find no end of legal liabilities where the council as a corporate body could end up being sued because little Johnny got drowned in whatever many inches or feet of water. And that is the only concern which I would raise, because little Johnny hasn't drowned in the sea pool. As far as I'm aware, there's only one person ever died in that pool, and that was Brainerd. But it could happen tonight or any time. And when people are faced with loss, some of them become particularly litigious and start throwing blame around. And if we are ultimately the owners of that, whoever runs the sea pool, whether it's the RNL lifeguards, the View Friends of Sea Pool, whoever it happens to be, if we actually own it as an asset, then little Johnny's parents will be coming after Bude-Stratton Town Council. So we need to be aware that there is a potential reputational issue, and there's also a potential legal issue. Now, that doesn't make me completely opposed to the idea of doing it, but I think we need to do it with our eyes very wide open.
John, do you see anything?
I actually think this is a really great idea, but I don't think that there's no cost to the council, because officers' time is a cost to the council. So I think that's got to be corrected in all the dialogue about this. I also think that it's kind of alarmist to say you shouldn't try and do a project because someone might tragically die. You know, we own woodland, a tree could fall on something like it. That's kind. It just seems like a very alarmist angle to go down. In terms of like that devolution process, obviously the staff are aware of how long that's taken with the skate park. It's probably years. So I see no reason in kind of positioning an expression of interest, because it may well be that it takes years to actually materialize. Yeah, that's all I have to say on that. It's not zero cost though. I think that's really important to note. People cost a lot of time.
There you go.
Yeah.
Frankie and
Yeah.
I have some questions.
Go on.
Has anyone spoken from council about the devolution? At all?
No, there's no point talking to them if the council are with the state, yes.
No, but it would just give us an indication in timeframes.
Well, 2030 is the time frame, because that's our 100th anniversary. So we would like it in place by then.
Okay.
So I know how counties just talk here. It's much younger.
And I suppose the only other thing I would like to mention is just about the insurances.
Oh,
that
yeah.
has already alluded to policy premiums for us as taking on that as a liability. And the legal implications would require our law firm, our external law firm to be involved. That's obviously officers' time as well. It's not impossible, but it's not a quick resolution.
no, I mean,
I think the legal liability.
Said 2030, that's
Correct.
change the dynamic of my thinking.
Just around the corner. But
Yeah.
the legal liability is with Fox at the moment.
Yeah.
You have no legal liability. They've handed everything over to us.
And it would have to remain that way.
Oh, yes, that's the way it is.
Okay, and Peter, you have one?
Yeah, I'm a great believer, if it's not broken, don't fix it. And Friends of Bude-Stratton has done a remarkable job of taking over liability, asset, depends how you want to call it, financial liability, asset to the community. But to me, there's absolutely no need for this authority to take ownership of freehold ownership of that premises if everything's working right as it is. Like ex-councillor Tilly said, at the moment everything's going all right, but as we know, a lot of organisations and enthusiasm dwindles over time. I mean, it hasn't now, but it might do in 10, 20 years time, and it ends up in this authority that ultimately has a liability of government. And at the moment, town council does not receive just over £500,000 income from car parks from people using the car parks and views, as Cornwall Council does. And if the town council had present car park, somebody's car park, Crick's car park, I'd be probably all for it because you'd have the asset to deliver the service. But it's a devolution of liability, not devolution of assets, that concerns me. And I know Paul would agree. If one came with the other, I'm sure it would be fine, but it doesn't. And I think this authority take on that, potentially that liability is a foolish one. And I know it's emotionally, it might not be the right thing to say, but it's a factual thing.
It's a valid point. And yeah, devolving your car parks to us would be.
Well, yeah, you could take on liability if you've got the asset to deal with the liability, but taking on liability.
Spend the money locally then.
We also put that as well. I already have.
Oh, sorry, it's yours.
I think we should definitely be looking at it because I think doing something preemptively before, I mean, we know basically we're going to have to seriously think about the pool when it comes to the encroaching sea anyway. And that also goes on to car parks as well. Like car parks are probably not going to be there, like by 2040.
I won't be old enough to find out, but apparently it's about 1 millimetre a year at the moment, historically.
We've seen maps, and there's obviously there has been series of like different previous visualizations and things like that. But we also have to assume that we're gonna have to sort of manage it. Now, do we trust ourselves to manage it more than Cornwall Council? Do we trust ourselves to be able to basically pull trigger and say, actually, this is when we should probably think about retiring it if basically, it gets to the point where you can actually get to see below the top of the sea pool or something. You're always walking in water, no matter if you're low tide or not. So I think it would be much better in local hands generally. And I think obviously there's just a concern with the amount of officer working time. So I think punting it to the committee to sort of start fleshing out and basically brainstorming what issues it's going to be. And I don't think that's necessarily officer time. I think that is sitting down like we've done now and highlighting something. Well, let's think about this and this and this and this, and think about costs. I think that also gives you a bit of time and space to come back with what other support that we could have, like legal stuff, or come back about insurance stuff, just to help.
Can I just say on that point of view, if it was an open meeting, so the committee of the sea pool could turn up to your committee meeting, they could do all the paperwork with counting, not involving your staff. They could take all that, and then see where we get with county before it becomes involvement of the town council.
Yeah. You don't mind? Yeah, if I just respond to that, if the town council were considering taking on an asset from Cornwall Council, the officers here would need to be involved in that process.
Yeah, sure.
So it wouldn't be something that could be done, externally without.
No, but they're not aware of our desire at this moment in time. That's all.
If I could also just add some, as part of my concerns to the comments raised earlier regarding the liability, the insurance side of things. So having recently just come from being a clerk in Apparent Forth, which is unusually one of the small handful of town parish councils which is actually owns and manages the local beach. So that's a 3 mile stretch of beach, which was gifted to the parish council by the King back in the 1930s. So parish council is actually responsible for that whole area of the cliffs, which have to be inspected annually. A little girl died. It was before my time. It made quite a big news actually, and it was the council that was held to account and had to, the chairman, I'm afraid, ended up in court having to answer council sort of corporate manslaughter charges and so on. So it really is a serious liability for us to take on, and something that I would really caution against. Yeah, so obviously if you'd like to look into it further, but there is a serious concerns there.
I'd just like to endorse what the clerk has said. This is my point. At the moment, you've got a principal authority that is the owner, and the principal authority is the liable authority at the end of the day. I know Paul says that Friends of Bude-Stratton is responsible, but I'm sure if it escalated beyond Friends of Bude-Stratton, it would be the actual owner. And as I said, it's not broken, don't fix it. If push came to shove and Friends of Bude-Stratton packed up, and Cornwall Council then says, oh, we're going to leave the pool to rot and be swallowed up by the rising sea, then perhaps this council would discuss the matter then. But there's no point, in my view, of absorbing that liability at this stage at all.
Well, I mean, one more step for the reason why we're doing this is that we're dealing with two land owners, really, the county who own the land and the town who own the land up to the pool. You see, our desire is to have a big community building, a hub on top, and that involves the town council, because the sewers from that, because there's no toilets out there, the sewers from that would go to the cricket pavilion, which is the closest sewer, main sewer. So we're dealing with the town council and the county. Well, the county aren't responding to anything we ask them at the moment. They're too busy, and their legal side have said they'll take years before they respond. You know, I mean, it is an embarrassment, really, when we're trying to move it forward and we're hitting a brick wall. So it is frustrating.
With respect, I don't think there's any justification to absorb responsibility of the ownership of the sequel.
Well, look, we're happy to take the responsibility. We're taking the responsibility without banging an eyelid.
But whilst you're there,
then if we're not there, the town should look after it. Not the county.
Council look after it. We get that £500,000
You know,
from their car parks. That's my.
Well, we let those go years ago.
That's not my fault. Mary Francis is fault, that is.
Yeah.
Through me speaking now, you could appear. Do you have any thoughts on this? She got really I don't want to put you on the spot, but
yeah, I do have a lot of thoughts, but I'm reluctant to express them because I don't think ex-councillor Tilsey would be very happy with them. And
I'm man enough. Good.
I've done it.
I can feel the daggers almost coming into my back. So, okay, let's be clear. The pool does have significant liability that could, as the town clerk pointed out, see us potentially in court on a manslaughter charge, or worse or less, who knows. The issue for me here is when you look at Cornwall Council as a body, they have much greater reserves, a much better ability to deal with legal liabilities. If we ended up in that situation as a small town council, medium-sized town council, we could end up on the wrong end of a massive claim against us for something that we haven't anticipated. There's also issues surrounding, we all know this, when you're a local authority, there's only one way to do things, and that's properly. And the moment you start not doing things absolutely to the letter of the law, you begin to assume liability very, very quickly. And I think that we ought to be very, very cautious about thinking about taking this on. I mean, I don't see the imperative at this point to take on the ownership of the pool. If it became genuinely in danger of being lost for the community, then yes, I think we should consider it. But at the moment, it's not in that position. And the other thing that I do want to say, and I think this is probably the underlying part of the request, is that Councillor Tilsey, ex-Councillor Tilsey has alluded to the desire of the Seaport to build a significant building on the upper tiers of that area. Now, I've always thought one of the things that makes Bude very, very special is the open access and the open nature of our downs, and because we haven't developed our seafront. And I'd be highly reluctant to think a building of any significance in that zone would be something I could ever support. That probably ends what I want to say.
He's still alive, so it's
I can feel the daggers coming.
No, I put the knife away. So I said
okay, Katie, then Katie.
So something that you alluded to there was basically about the fact that Cornwall Council aren't talking to you at all. So actually, maybe the first thing that we could do in support is there like maybe there's a letter like a headed letter that we could be like, at least applying to, or like more direct contact, or just making sure you're talking to the right people. So because there is an opportunity there that the PhD pool owns the seapool could be another option. Like if you're happy with the legal liabilities side and the management of it, then you could just own it. Like this could be an option. In which case, like it could just be literally the first step for us is just help open those channels a bit. And if that's like the head, like the lead councillor for the community assets or wherever it is, to have some.
That's a valid point.
Yeah.
Anything I haven't thought about moving that way. I'll explore that with our committee and come back to you on that. See what Kathy says.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, okay.
I was going to make exactly the same point. Would it be possible for the Friends of Bude-Stratton to take freehold ownership, however the form of ownership is, that just have it for themselves and not involved with it?
That's as I said, we haven't thought about that. Because normally you just devolve it to the council, because it was a council going before. But yeah, happy to explore.
That's where you go, is we leave it alone for now when you go and explore that.
Yeah.
I mean, if there was no option but the county or Cornwall Council devolve it to us, but we could within 5 seconds devolve it to the Friends of Bude-Stratton, and it was only our gift to facilitate that happening.
Yeah.
I think that's a completely different conversation rather than us taking long-term ownership.
Yeah, no.
All right.
Thank you, councillors.
I think I'm going to propose that we leave it alone for now. You go away and investigate that.
Right.
Because there is no immediate threat to it.
No, there's no threat at all.
We're maxed out on projects at the moment. So even if we have this conversation again next year. So, do I need to propose?
No, it's actually nice to know.
All right. So we'll note the request.
Fine. Thank you.
Have your message.
Yeah.
Go for it.
I'm not multiplying, I should just go. Thank you, councillors.
You're welcome. To approve the financial report, schedule of payments made between the 8th of September 23 and 5th of October 23. Schedule of payments policy.
Yeah, that's great.
That's a proposal, or second.
All in favour?
That was easy.
Unanimous, is it? Yeah. Cool. Right. Against, abstain. So schedule of payments to be made 6th of October 2023. I suppose we do that. We did. All right, all in favour? Against? Abstain? To agree a response to the request for financial support from the Power Exchange. Hopefully, they haven't turned up, so we're just going to have to roll with it. Effectively, myself, I can't remember who this was, Lorraine, and a couple of staff members had a meeting with the Power Exchange, and was it half or full? It was half, because body banks didn't turn up. Footfall was not as great as they would have liked, and obviously the fishing park didn't operate as well as they had hoped, and they are asking, they've incurred a loss. And they are asking us to share said loss with them.
I'd like to propose that this item is deferred to the committee at the end of the agenda, please, after 21.
You want to defer it to the confidential session?
If someone would second. Because it concerns a financial, it's a tenant.
Well, that's why I didn't read out the,
Yeah,
the money, yeah.
So to me, I'll feel more comfortable with this. I wouldn't want to discuss another tenant's predicament.
It's
in public.
That's why I was struggling to word it correctly without the beer.
We have discussed this in detail previously. It's never been in the confidential session.
What a request for some contribution to their arrears in or potential arrears in rent.
Well, on the financial.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, that's my proposal.
Okay.
So,
Without, sorry, because I missed the first part of the meeting. Can I just be clear in my mind, the presentation, was that related to this?
No, the presentation was then coming in to explain to new councillors what it is they do.
Right.
So that there was some understanding of what was going on, and we've had I fully expected them to be here, they aren't, and that's, you know, I don't know why. So we're just gonna have, we're just gonna have, but there's nobody here from them to speak on their behalf, so to speak. Did somebody second that? Did I see you seconded that? Okay. So the proposal is to move it to item 21, closed session. All in favour? Three. Against? Abstain.
Oh, brave.
Yeah. It's on the closed session. Cool. The ayes have it. To receive a verbal update on some point projects and agree any associated actions. Darcy. Yes, Michael? Can you be quiet, please? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Apologies, there's no written report. The meeting that we have as a project team is normally 2 weeks in advance for council. However, it was actually today. So hence I'm having to do this verbally. I want to talk to you about a couple of things that arose from that meeting. They pertain to extension of time of the project. So just to give you a bit of brief background, the original completion date of the project was the 10th of October. See next week. I reported a 4-week delay and extra time was requested due to the complexities in the dismantle. That took us to the 7th of November and was authorised by the project team, so the architects, quantity surveyor and everything. I last reported last full council and then subsequently to committee a verbal discussion of a 3-week extension due to poor progress, which obviously was discussed at that point. I don't want to obviously bring that back up in open session, and whether that has yet to be authorised. So that process hasn't completed. It's just a lengthy process, but we are not expecting any additional costs anticipated to us for those additional 3 weeks. I then have received a request this week for an additional 6 weeks and 2 days, which will take us to the 22nd of January for them to be off-site completely. It means that the tower itself, which basically takes in the roof, will be completed prior to that. So that will be done by before Christmas. So basically the 12th of December. After the building is complete, there's then external groundworks that have to take place, including the steps, because the building is on quite a significant slope. Those take up to 4 weeks to complete, and there's obviously Christmas in between that where the industry shuts, as does most people. So I have a 6-week proposal that's obviously just been put forward, so that process hasn't started either. So I asked for some more clarity over that, and I've got some additional information for you. So the 6 weeks basically pertains to 3 weeks additional work, which is taking them from the ground up to basically where they are now, which is the sill level. That's predominantly due to ensuring the measurements of the structure are millimetre inaccuracy. If that first section obviously is a millimetre out in any direction, the entire building can't be put together properly, because we're using the exact stones that were in the old building in the exact place. It obviously has to, the accuracy is extensive. They've also asked for an additional 1 week at cornice level. So just to make you aware, so the tower goes up to past window height, and then you have cornice, which is substantial stonework, which was previously concrete, which is why it can't be reused. A ring beam, which basically holds the structure together, steel, and then the roof. So those 4 elements are critical in ensuring that all of the materials obviously bind correctly, and there is no room, there's no margin for error there at all. So they requested an additional week at cornice level. The ground workers, which is external subcontracted, have also asked for additional time for completion of the steps, including 1 week for Christmas. So it's just to make the council aware that I have done everything I can to reduce that. It was higher than that prior to the meeting today, so that is the best we're going to get. In terms of cost, because I obviously appreciate that is the next question on everyone's lips. The answer is right now, as we sit here, I don't know, because we're not in that position yet. What I would anticipate is a maximum of up to 5 weeks. That is worst case scenario that they would be looking to claim for. But until that valuation process takes place, we're not going to know. So I've requested today that the valuation, and that obviously involves the contractor, the architect, and the QS, have everything in place ready for C&D committee. So the report will be ready on be issued to you on the 19th for that committee to decide, because that's where the project sits, and they will then have the task of assessing that and any additional costs that will be incurred. Further to this, there is also legal issues which now have to be resolved. We only have a license to be on the land and complete the works until the 31st of January next year. So their proposal the 22nd of January only gives us marginal room for error, which I'm not comfortable with. So we will be looking to extend that license. It's a very complex license because it involves 2 landowners, a leaseholder and ourselves. So whether or not we can get that in time is also a difficult task to add to the already monumentally difficult task. So there isn't really anything to agree at this stage. It's just obviously to advise you. The Mayor and the council for the project were advised on Tuesday when I received the wonderful news. We also have to negotiate again with the church, because the land where the compound is only available until the end of October. So those negotiations will have to take place again. So that's the bad news. I suppose a date which I'm hoping will take place and will be good news is the cross being placed back on the tower, and also the time capsule will be placed in the floor, which is the 11th of December, which is a Monday, and we will be making a big deal about that. So I encourage you all to come along, please. And if you would like to place anything in the time capsule, please let me know. I'm happy to take any questions you have.
Lorraine.
I only want to know if we can put a town council photo in the audience. Don't want to put one individually.
Yeah. Yeah, we can arrange for a photo.
Katie.
We always have potentially like a stretch goal, which is to get everyone, their whole team, to do the entirety of this as soon as possible, which looks like it's in January. And obviously, we have to assume that we're going to be adding at least a couple of weeks onto that, because we have no idea what the storm's going to be doing. So we are obviously going to be going over that tiny 2-day, whatever it is, slot for when we get the license to stop being on the ground. Is there any breaks within the actual build of the project where we could, like, in terms of like groundwork or like a finishing or something, which we can say, okay, this is enough for now, and like it's in a great stable point, but we can go back to the landowner potentially if they say no, basically, because either the landowners could say no. Where we can potentially go, okay, well, we'll come back next year and finish groundwork maybe when it's dry, like not stormy and things like that. So it's stable, but the groundwork, accepting to it is still awkward or not great for safe users and things like that.
So yeah, I understand what you're saying. I think in my mind, and that's something that was reiterated today, this building has to be roof on, watertight and complete by Christmas. There's absolutely no negotiation on that. It has to be completed by the end of this year.
Yeah.
I understand from a ground worker's perspective that trying to do that on a staggered period in between Christmas break when this industry shuts down for 2 weeks is obviously difficult. If we were to do that, it would involve us being completely off-site, and then we'd have the cost to come back on because the contractor is still involved, even in the subcontracted groundworks. So actually, it would probably cost us more to do that. If the landowners decline to allow that extension to take place, we would be in a position where the building was structurally sound, but it was inaccessible. And then that obviously has other monumental consequences I don't really want us to have to deal with, and liabilities, then legal battles. So our best effort is to get this done and get it done by the end of January. I won't be reporting on any agreed extensions past January because it is my view that I don't want to give them any room for negotiation, and they need to work towards the dates that have been outlined today. And that will just be for our peace of mind if those are granted. Not less.
Kevin.
I forget whether it was the last full council or the committee, but there was some nervousness that the roof and the walls wouldn't sort of arrive at the same time, that there might have to be some kind of delay. I take it that has been, we're no longer going to know.
No, so everything has been reprogrammed. So it's a very critical period towards the end of November because we're relying on 3 subcontractors being on site at the same time for 3 different elements of it. But those have been programmed in with this new date and time. So for me, the key day is going to be the 11th of December, because if we're at a point where we're putting the cross on and we're putting the time capsule in the floor, we have a structurally sound building that is up, and the scaffolding will come down the following day. So it will be there and it will be in place. It's just obviously the additional works, unfortunately, the time of year, and obviously the weather, who knows?
Okay, so I think soon as you're not going to have any more information until the 19th, and you're going to report to C&D, there's no point going too much further down the rabbit hole tonight for this one. Unless anybody has any really pressing questions, I'm going to move on. Your hand, Peter, I'm sorry.
It was discreet. It was more of a wink than a hand.
Pressing questions, these are pressing hands.
No, I just wanted to say thank you to Frankie for such a thorough report on what is a project that is not without challenges. I think realistically, moving a building of that nature was never going to be without some special challenges, and to deal with them in a professional way that is evident, I think we should be very grateful.
Yeah, I'll second that. Right, we will move on to receive updates from lead councillors on community activities and outside bodies. I haven't been notified that anybody's got anything to report, but if you have, raise your hand.
So I believe the Retail Partnership actually had a like an evening about where they're kicking off sustainable tourism.
Yeah, next Friday.
Yeah, so I'm going on to that with Connect Youth folk, because so hopefully, I don't know where that's going to be and how it's going to work, but you've also met them. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I think his name, Dr. Mark, the campus, one of the councillors. Very enthusiastic.
So yeah, I hope to at least go along to that, but that's really the only thing.
Okay, anybody else?
I'm not actually lead councillor for it, so this is a different report. But you mentioned earlier the possibly the multi-use trail.
Yeah.
We used to have 3 representatives, and now we don't get them anybody. Is there any? I'm already involved. So is there anybody else who would be keen to be?
I was supposed to be,
Yeah.
and I have not been receiving any information since I've been part of those initial, like, loads of meetings that we had with the consultants I had.
Yeah, I think from talking to the mayor, I think what happened was they had that, and then enthusiasm waned, or don't want to put words into their mouths, but for whatever reason, it sort of like dropped off the radar, but now they're starting to wind it back up again. So it might be worth us making contact, or on you yourselves, as you're in the group, with Tom, and just seeing, you know, I mean, they're investigating their sections of it. We've obviously built ours right up to the boundary, so our work is complete. It's Marrakesh again, Tom.
But yeah, but it's a complete, you know.
Yeah.
Rather than divide up into this sections, it's a project that benefits probably hopefully more than.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, the point I'm making is we can't just bulldoze a footpath through Marrakesh Parish.
No.
You know.
No.
As much fun as it might be, but
we're all
yeah.
involved.
Yeah, it needs joined up thinking, and you know. Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna move on to
Katie is still the
Katie is, yes, but yeah, and obviously you were now involved. God, that's where it was. To agree any updates to lead councillor representation. So for those of you without any, now's your chance. What do we need lead councillors for? I would say right off the bat, I would appreciate when coming on youth with me. Because now that we're firing up the youth project, and I've got the skate park project, so if anybody would fancy joining me as a joint lead councillor for youth, I propose Katie. All in favour? Fantastic. Welcome aboard. Any other lead councillor roles we need?
Sian is on her own now because Kelly left. Is that right?
On what,
Yeah.
sorry?
So Kelly left and she was inclusion.
Like
Because I have to do education and early years, we kind of
combo. to
Right,
use.
does anybody fancy join our proposed amendment? All in favour? That's, again, no, no.
Are you sharing both of those or are you taking one?
As we were.
Right, fine.
No,
Okay, just
sharing.
for the record. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any others?
What happened about heritage? Because all was heritage.
Forward heritage.
Councillor Roy.
Councillor Freud took that on.
Oh, okay. fine.
The website needs updating a lot. I was just trying to use it to see.
So that's a staff thing. We'll have a lead councillor for updating website. Any others? I think that's it. Fantastic. To elect members to fill the vacancy on the planning committee. Yeah, I mean, I find it impossible to get to at the moment.
Perhaps Tom might like to.
Tom, yes.
Okay.
I might just shotgun propose you.
Would you like the long response or the even longer response? I'm not, sorry, no disrespect, but I'm not overly happy with proceedings at the, having attended a few meetings, and I'm not, sorry, I'm not overly happy with how it's dealt with a particular issue that was on an election promotional material, and the way it's been dealt with, as I'm disappointed about.
Okay, I don't know what any of that is, but
it's to do with
okay.
It's to do with the community land trust issue.
Okay. All right. So, would anybody else like?
We carry on, it's fine.
Yeah, because we're trying to find somebody to come on.
Well,
there.
it is quite. It ties in with the reason why I asked for clarification about referring something to a committee and delegating something to a committee, because this was referred to the planning committee, but the planning committee is there was 2 members turned up, and then a 3rd member came along at the last planning committee meeting, and the issue that it was on the agenda, but then because the 3rd councillor had to leave again, it's just been kicked down the road really, and
okay.
I'm can I? Okay.
Right, yeah, I want to start an argument about what's going on in the planning committee. I will allow you a response, and then we are drawing a line on it, because we're asking for somebody to join the committee, not have an argument within the committee.
That would be great.
Okay, so you can respond, and then I want it there.
Just respond.
Yes.
The item in question is in hand, as was explicitly stated in the meeting. In hand in a number of different ways, and I'm very sorry if Councillor O'Sullivan doesn't feel like the way that I chair or handle the meetings or conduct the meetings is sufficient. I'm trying my best.
Okay, personal.
Okay.
Right. Let's just leave it there. Now that you've sold the fun of the planning committee to the rest of us, would anyone like to join it? No. Okay, we'll have to move on. Receive notification on celebration of D-Day landings and agree any council involvement. Hopefully you've all seen this request. I think it's come up from the government level, hasn't it? So it has. Obviously, June 6th is going to be one of those problematic days for you. But what are anybody's thoughts? Well,
That's really.
I think we've been through a lot of lighting beacons discussion previously, and it's almost like copy and pasting, where fortunately we weren't asked to light one eventually, I think. And then basically burning fossil fuels to light a beacon and having big fire on downs, valuable downs, isn't 100% from previous discussions. And if you want to light a lamp, you should have a nice LED lamp, a safe lamp or something. So I think that would be something. I think otherwise it'd be talking to the cultural committee in a lot of this. I don't know if we could just get that.
Kevin?
I have seen the light on the issue of beacons. I was one of the lone voices quite keen to have one for the king, and then the king decided he didn't want them. So that made me look a bit daft. But apparently our beacon is beyond economic repair, and I really don't think we should be in the business of getting ourselves sorted out with a fossil fuel burning beacon. If we want to, we've signed the anti-fossil fuel pledge, and we've been green in many other ways. So I think as far as the beacon is concerned, it's just a no. Whether we can do something with some nice lights around the Elizabeth mast or something. But whatever we do, I would say that we need very early and very good comms. We're a long way away from that. But one of the reasons why I was all for beacons in the first place is because we appeared not to be particularly enthusiastic last time round with the Platinum Jubilee. And that wasn't the case because we were doing a lot of things, but somehow the idea that we were an anti-monarchist group of rabid socialists got out there, and it shouldn't have done, not quite in that way.
Yeah, I remember the comment on Facebook about it being an oversight and the oversight. Having a wry chuckle for myself when I read it, but Frankie.
Just a sort of idea, I suppose. So you may remember we lit up Compass Point when we were doing the crowdfunder, and it was bright and red and very visible. We used a very local company who were excellent, and it looked fantastic. It was the same time of year, so that could be an alternative option, and we could light up Compass Point. As it will be finished and it will be ours.
Yeah. Okay.
And we wouldn't have to do anything.
No, I like it. So, what committee would this fit into? Heritage.
He said very quickly.
Yeah. I'm sat thinking, not when I'm in, I've got enough to do. All right, I would propose we move it to Heritage, we explore the options and. All in favour? Against? Abstain. Where are we? To review local government pension scheme, employers' discretion policy.
So, so we have been asked by Common Council to evidence the fact that we've reviewed this policy that's right before you today. It actually forms part of a large suite of policies that we're going to be reviewing over the next year. And so the first one, I mean, there are absolutely no changes at all that have been made to this. It's just been printed out from our existing files. As you can see, it's adopted in 2016. So, but no changes are required to it. It's just a Common Council needs to know that we have reviewed it. So there aren't any real concerns as far as I know.
Okay,
Propose the review is noted.
I'm seconding that proposal. All in favour?
You didn't miss all.
I was hoping to go bigger than a rabbit hole on that one. To receive any additional items of correspondence from the clerk.
Yes, just to note that we have been approached by the British Legion to provide support in organising this year's Remembrance Sunday. I appreciate that that's not going anyway, but I only found out about it a few days ago. And there is concern because many of our members are, by their very nature, elderly and people who've been involved in the organisation are quite poorly at the moment. So I had a meeting with the mayor and members of the British Legion, and we talked it through. I have a list of things that need to be done. I have sort of promised on your behalf, I hope you're okay with this, that we will do our best to put the arrangements in place this year. Many of the things sort of happen anyway, because in various services turn up and cadets and fires open and the rest of it. The people know where they need to be. Various key organisers will be informed. We'll sort out the greens. We need to look at road closure. There's a list of things to go through, which I'm not, I did make very clear to the group, I can say that actually this is not necessarily setting a precedent in terms of going forward. It's not normally the town council that is the prime organiser. We normally work with the Legion, but to get them out of the sort of bail out.
The Legion exists only on paper and viewed. The entire committee have resigned.
So they're also having maybe.
There isn't a Legion to organise it.
So on the 17th of October, I think it is, they're having their AGM. They don't know at that point whether or not they will have a committee. And obviously it's going to be too late anyway to be organising anything. So it's a bit of a crisis situation, so I think we've helped out. And I don't think it's happy with that.
Right.
Is there anything we can do to help do that? Because I think it'd be, I think we need to do it.
Well, yeah, we have said that the committee that organised, which would be responsible for organising it, resigned at the last meeting.
Yeah, I should have said sorry.
Yeah, hoping that a new committee will step forward at the next meeting, but that would literally leave them with about 11 days to organise it. So
is there anything we can do ourselves?
I was going to say, sorry, I should have mentioned that because you was also at the meeting, it'd be
Yeah.
very helpful. So we're working together. I've also spoken to the facilities manager, military, lots of contacts, and it's trying to be helpful as well. So between us, trying to pull that. If you need any further help, I'll certainly reach out to you.
we're hoping on the day it's going to look like Swan with a lot of fun paddling that's taking place beforehand.
Yeah, the conversation I had the other day, I got the impression that most things are sort of.
Yeah.
That's the impression I got.
Yeah. Most of the organisations involved know they're involved.
Yeah.
Will be there on the day and they know where they go on the day, and Chunky Folk is still happy to be sort of like parade marshal. I think the road closure is the main issue because you generally need 6 weeks to get approval for one. We've only got 5, so but hopefully in exceptional circumstances we will get exceptional help. If not, we'll just park the car across the road.
Been done before.
Yeah. So anyway, that is it. So this is only no real need to go any further on that, I think. So note the date of the next meeting, which is Thursday, 2nd November 2023. All in favour? To resolve to exclude the press and public due to confidential or special nature of the business to be transacted. I propose we do that. All in favour? Okay. I'm going to have to ask all the public to leave now because we're going to be discussing money. Thank you, Chris.